All right, so check this shit out. Hold on. So the 50-year stock price history for Pfizer, right? So I did it for the last 5 years because it makes more sense. I could do it for the last 10 years, right? From 2012 when the stock price was what, $14 point 40 cents per share, right? So back in 2012, that's how low the stock price was. Now, if I do it for the last 5 years, right? 5 years ago, they were at $24. Actually, yeah, around 26, $25 and change, right? Today, the stock price for Pfizer is $60. $61. It went down to like 59 bucks, 56 bucks, right? Think about how much the stock prices per share raised over the last 5, 10 years, and in particular the last 5 years, and in particular with this COVID nonsense that's been going on. So we could even do the last 2 years, like right before you know 2020 started. Right, it was only at $34, damn near doubled at the end of 2021. Something for you guys to think about. When you have control of the media, right, which the government does to some degree, based on the policies enacted after 9/11. Uh, I forget the name of it, but I'm going to look for the name of the law that they passed. It might be the Patriot Act or something like that. But it was where the government had the ability to lie to the mass population using the news. So that's part of the problem right here is you can never tell when the government is lying to you and what they're lying to you about. So when people call you a conspiracy theorist, right? When you start questioning the status quo or you start bucking the status quo. But what conspiracy theorists are known to do is they're known to question known liars. So that's something else you guys should think about. I mean, look at the stock prices just for Pfizer, right? Today, damn near $60, whereas not even 2 years ago, it was down at $34. This COVID-19 nonsense is after they started talking about COVID and so on and so forth. Like now, all people are talking about is getting vaccines and so on and so forth. So that's one aspect, but I'm not done yet. I am not done yet. Look at this. What do we have here? What do we have here? Check this shit out. This was a day ago, bro. Not even a day ago that they dismissed the charges. So now the federal judge dismisses the charges against the guards who falsified records the night that Jeffrey Epstein died. Right? And this is in New York. Saying that he died by suicide. So basically what they're saying is these court guards could have killed this guy, and we don't care if they did or didn't. We're just gonna say he died by suicide. That's pretty much what they're saying.
Because
I promise you, that's what they're saying.
when you do any search on Epstein, right? Because remember this is Ghislaine Maxwell trial that's going on now. They're saying prosecution is at rest, and that was a week ago. So so now I'm looking at this trial. I don't know if you guys remember, right? The thing about the trial was a bunch of people were in the know about what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, and really what it centered around was this argument that it's underage girls that he was getting, people under the age of 18. But the thing is, here in the United States, the laws vary depending on what state you go to. So now, if Jeffrey Epstein, look at this is how they say he made his money. He said he was doing financial consulting. So he had his own consulting firm, Intercontinental Assets Group. And what they did was they recovered stolen money from fraudulent brokers and lawyers. Okay, so think about how many people this guy probably pissed off, right? But his thing was, oh, you know what? If I want to sleep with a girl that's under the age of 18, I should be able to do that. And I have my own island, which is not a part of the United States, where I can bring underage girls there. So that's what it really seems like this argument is about. I mean, it's on the Virgin Islands, right, in the Caribbean, which is crazy. I don't know who owns it now, but that was his land before they took his land, right? So just something else for you guys to think about. This is something also that is yeah, this is what the guy looks like. This is the guy that died in jail. This guy literally died in jail after they arrested him. They arrested him and they put him in jail, and then they said he got he committed suicide in jail or some shit like that, even though he was on suicide watch, and he had all these people that were supposed to be watching him, right? So something else for you guys to think about as far as what else might be going on. If you guys recall, what ended up happening was they were trying to they issued subpoenas out to a bunch of people, a bunch of politicians, celebrities, and so on and so forth, not because they were guilty or not because they were necessarily involved, but because they were in the know. And because they were in the know, and maybe they did business with Mr. Epstein's company, that they were put in a position by the courts where they were put on house arrest. They weren't allowed to go anywhere, specifically so that they could go to trial. Now, dead men can't speak for themselves, so this is why Jeffrey Epstein is dead, right? He probably had his own defense for that. But now you have Miss Maxwell, who apparently was also participating in, these actions. But now, you know, the guy she was working with and working for is dead. So there's probably stuff that she doesn't know, but they're making her go up there to testify. And now, she might say stuff that she's not even sure of, but the prosecution or whoever, the state, can use that to paint whatever picture they want to paint. So basically, let's see what we got here. So we have this 10th day of a sex trafficking trial. This lady, Annie Farmer, who said that Miss Maxwell touched her breast during a massage when she was 16 years old. Okay. So she touched her breasts. All right. During a massage. Okay. So what? And then for me, the questions I'm asking is, in what context was this massage? Was this, was she training this girl how to massage people, or was it, a sexual act? I have no idea. But based on the way I heard this lady complaining on the news, I'm gonna pull her video up in a second. You can't be sure. It just sounds like she's complaining that a woman touched her breasts. So,
Prosecution rested its case today in the sex trafficking trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. A fourth accuser testified that the British socialite and her ex-boyfriend, convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, forced themselves on her when she was just 16. Here's CBS's Mola Lenghi.
Like three women before her, Annie Farmer accused Ghislaine Maxwell of being central to Jeffrey Epstein's alleged sex trafficking ring. But unlike the other three accusers who testified, the 42-year-old farmer chose not to conceal her identity. Farmer, at 16 years old, says she was isolated on Epstein's New Mexico ranch one weekend when Maxwell insisted on giving her a massage, at which point she says she rubbed her breasts. In a 2020 interview, she said,
"She touches me around my chest, but blurring the boundaries of normal or not normal."
That same weekend, she says Maxwell instructed her on how to properly massage Epstein's feet. Farmer said today, "I felt very uncomfortable. I did not want to be touching his feet. I wanted it to be over." Prosecutors have used testimony and photos to depict Maxwell and Epstein as a team, coercing and trafficking girls to sexually abuse them. Maxwell has denied all charges. Jurors will also see excerpts from one of Jeffrey Epstein's black books, a collection of contacts that may reveal more victims and more high-profile participants in his sexual misconduct.
How did Jeffrey Epstein make his money? In 1981, he founded his own consulting firm, Intercontinental Assets Group, Inc., IAG, which assisted clients in recovering stolen money from fraudulent brokers and lawyers. Epstein described his work at this time as being a high-level bounty hunter. So just because he has contacts does not necessarily mean that they were involved. He could have been helping them stopping from getting scammed by fraudulent brokers and so on and so forth. All right. Just to have extra video. So now what's going on now, and regardless of what you think about what's considered mature, what's not, what's considered underage in regards to sexual activity or not, that's neither here nor there, because in different countries, like European countries, I mean, they introduce their children to sex very early, as far as sex education, so on and so forth. So it's just that here in the United States, we have so many different states and so many different laws that we could literally sit here and argue about that until the end of time. And it's literally a waste of time, because unless somebody has been raped or somebody has been misled into some sexual misconduct, you can't really say much, especially if they were getting paid for it. Now, I guess that's the biggest issue, is if they were getting paid to do these things, but that's another story. I mean, if you're taking kids from the United States and they have parents that are looking after them, now it's whether the parents gave them permission to do that, and if they did, if they're lying about whether if they're actually lying about whether they gave that permission or not. So so right now, this lady, Miss Maxwell, her trial began, and if you guys recall, the thing about Julian Assange is he's not American. He's a British native, right? And what ended up happening with Julian Assange was he got he's the creator of WikiLeaks, right? So you got a whole bunch of cables from the United States government, which in regards to their military operations and so on and so forth, a whole bunch of information from the Pentagon, which means somebody within the Pentagon and somebody within the military had to leak this information, right? So this guy is over in the UK, right? So one of the ways they tried to get this guy off their case was to accuse him of being a pedophile. That's how they pronounce it there, a pedophile. And what ended up happening was they accused him of messing with the 17-year-old or something like that, right? And then when you stop to think about it, it's like, well, a 17-year-old, they're almost 18, but okay, if you really want to be that technical about it, I guess you could, use that as a way to
make him look bad or whatever. And the fact that they call him a pedophile is what really bothered me, because when I was age 15, I already had a learner's permit. I was driving, I was going to work, and I was going to school full time. So I didn't think I was grown. I still consider myself a teen. I didn't consider myself an adult, but at the same time, I get it. You know what I mean? So really, that's what this argument is centered around. They still have Julian Assange captive over in the UK, right? But the one thing about Julian Assange is they're trying to extradite him to the United States, right? And they're literally having a discussion on whether he can actually be extradited to the United States to face charges, because he's not a United States native, right? What he did was illegal according to United States law, but maybe not where he is in the UK. And the only way for him to get extradited here is for the UK government somehow to make a deal with the US government to have him extradited here. So what's going on with this Jeffrey Epstein slash Ghislaine Maxwell case? It's like it's setting the precedent for what is okay and what isn't okay as far as sexual conduct and misconduct is concerned. You have places in the United States where you can date, 14, 15, 16-year-old, so long as you have the parents' permission, right? Would you call those people pedophiles? Not necessarily, right? Especially if they have permission. If there's a teen that emancipates themselves or becomes emancipated, which means they don't have a parent or guardian looking after them, they're technically considered an adult then, right? So if they come in contact with another adult, say the adult is age 21 or higher, right? Say a 15, 16-year-old emancipated person who's considered an adult in the eyes of the court of law dates a 21-year-old. If the logic is they're calling Julian Assange a pedophile, right, for messing with this, apparently or allegedly messing with the 17-year-old, right? Then would you call that 21-year-old who dates an emancipated 16-year-old a pedophile? No, right? The court would not call them that. So right now, what people don't realize is the way courts work is it's really up to popular opinion, right? The court goes by popular opinion. The court will go out of its way to keep its ear to the streets or on the news, and you have these judges who also have their hands in a bunch of different pots. They know a bunch of different people. They know how to talk to people in such a way where they can get deals done. They can do favors for one another. That's how the court system works. So if you have a lawyer that you pay good money for that actually knows the judge, and you're on trial for something, you can have your lawyer pull the judge to the side, because the judge is a human being, and be like, look, man, this guy has a case with such and such. Is there any way we could make sure he doesn't get sentenced? You know what I mean? And they'll pull favors like that. So if you're wondering what happened to Julian Assange, as far as I know, he's still he's in Australia, or from Australia. I don't know. As far as I know, he's in the UK, right? And then you have the Chelsea Manning thing. This is the guy that released. Hold on. This is the guy. Hold on. Pull this picture up. This is the guy that released video of drone strikes on people in the Middle East that were carried out by the United States, and WikiLeaks got a hold of it. So what ended up happening was they really, the government didn't, the military didn't like that, so they ended up locking this guy up, right? But in order for this guy to remain relevant, I don't know if this guy was actually transgender or not, but let's just say, for all intents and purposes, he was, right? In order for him to remain relevant, he had to get the support of some community, which would have been the LGBTQ plus community, right? So now he has their attention, right? Because he's undergoing sex change and so on and so forth. And what it really comes down to is, I think what ended up happening was maybe the military felt like he betrayed them somehow by offering this information up to Wikileaks, as far as what we were doing overseas with the drone strikes and so on and so forth. But this guy actually got out of being detained, and then he had a place that he could go stay, but then he was being followed and harassed and stalked and so on. So he became a targeted individual. And this guy is a U.S. citizen. So if you're wondering why, COVID is being used to lock people down and keep them in one place, this is why. I want you guys to keep that in mind, because the media, in order to control the population, you have to have a narrative, right? And whether that narrative is true or false is irrelevant. But when you're trying to get a bunch of people together for some sort of case or something, and you want answers, you want to know what's going on, this is how you do it. This is why the last 2-3 years we've been in this kind of lockdown. So, and I guarantee you, after this trial is over, that's when they're going to start loosening up the not the Epstein and Maxwell trial, the Julian Assange trial, because that's what they're really waiting on. Once that trial is over, that's when they'll start loosening restrictions, because from a military standpoint, if you're telling the world that, hey, we're literally, drone striking people, and it might go against some conventions that we have and so on and so forth, it gives those nations an opportunity to turn around and say, hey, these guys broke the law, and we want them to pay for the damages caused, right? Whether they were justified or not, whether our military was justified in using that kind of force or not. And if you remember correctly, I think they started talking about this while Obama was in office. So he was in active duty from 2007 to 2010, right? Obama got out of office in 2012, right? If I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I don't know. No, he got out of office in 2016. He got out of office in 2016 because he got into office in 2008. And then Trump got in office. And he was in office until 2020. So really what this comes down to is, I mean, anybody can look this stuff up. You don't need me to show it to you, but this is pretty much what all of this is centered around right now. Now check this out. This is what the guy looked like. I'm starting to think he's not transgendered, right? I think he's just a guy that got caught doing what he thought was the right thing. And from the military's perspective, especially as a guy in the military, it was, oh, you want to act like a bitch? We're going to treat you like a bitch. I guarantee you that's what it came down to. And the crazy part is, there was something about how the U.S. military was, depicting itself as opposed to the Russian military as far as their advertisements and whatnot. And then we started talking about women getting raped in the military and no justice being found for that. And how the Russian military's commercials look better than our commercials because we have a whole bunch of women on the front talking about, I don't know, women's rights or whatever on our military, but the Russian military is all manly and so on and so forth. I guarantee you that's what it's all about, how people are presenting themselves or how the military is presenting itself to the world. So, wait. So in 2009, wait a goddamn minute. So he was active in 2007 to 2010 and then went in confinement to 2010. And sure enough, in 2009, this guy wrote to a gender counselor in the United States and said she felt female and discussed having surgery. Now check this out. I guarantee you, this was around the time he got caught giving this information to WikiLeaks. And because he got caught, it was, yo, you either become a bitch or we kill you and or we'll lock you up for the rest of your life. And he was like, all right, I'll get a sex change. You know what I mean? I guarantee you that's what this is about. I guarantee you. This is a damn shame. It really is.